Hi everyone, and welcome to another video. I just got back from a ride with chain gang cyclists. I managed to do also my PR in Richmond Park, which is always nice. And I wanted to discuss with you my findings or my personal experience in setting the 4.5 on the saddle, because I've been recently playing with the setup, and yes, I do have my own findings that I want to share with you. What happens most of the time is that we concentrate our bike fitting changes into the cleats, position of the cleats, into the saddle height, of course, is maybe the main one, and the reach, so the handlebar position, but we tend to forget most of the time where to put the saddle. When you get a bike, usually you stick in the middle of the rails, which is a good practice, and that tend to be maybe the last setting that we concentrate on. And most of the time it works, and it was the same for me. When I got the Canyon Ultimate, I put the saddle more or less in the middle, and I started to concentrate my efforts, yes, on the other main measurements of the bike. Things of course changed when I got the Velo Build, a bike with the same stack and reach, where the seat tube at a different angle will need for you to put the saddle a lot more forward to match the position of the Canyon. So again, had I started with the Velo Build in the first place, I might have ended up getting used to a very different setup in terms of the Fore and Aft. For me, having 3 bikes is a very good tool, because I can set one different to the others and see what difference they make. As you can see, I built this Ultimate for winter use, and well, you can tell by the amount of grit that is still left on the bike. I need to clean it quite soon. On this one, I started to alter the Fore and Aft position, try to move it a little bit forward, because I was feeling that there was still in the movement some forward push then down that I thought it might be taking away a little bit of power in the motion of the pedal stroke. So in other words, I do like to stay on top of the pedal and push down rather than going forward and push down. If you are quite in an aggressive position with the pelvis slightly rotated forward, having just a downward strong motion is more efficient than you use the hamstring on the bottom of the stroke to complete the movement, like scraping the mud off the shoe. In this case, I felt a straight improvement, and I thought of replicating the same setting on the Better Ultimate. I pushed the rails almost a centimeter forward. I was pushing myself a bit further up, rotating my pelvis and pushing hard on the pedals. And I did a long ride, and I felt like I gained another gear. It was really a wonderful sensation that lasted maybe a couple of days, because what I started also to feel is a little bit more pressure on the anterior part of the knee, so the tendons that run through the patella, that started to get a little bit more sore. That is not the ideal conclusion that you want to have, and this is where you start to need to back down the 4.5. You always need to give your body the time to adjust to the new position, because there are a few elements in bike fitting. First of all, a placebo effect that might kick in. You start using slightly different muscle that might not been pushed that hard before. Yes, at the beginning feeling better, and in the long term you will understand what the drawbacks of your changes are. What you don't want to do is to alter the angle where your knee push down on the pedal. You can be more efficient if you stay in the same setup, you move forward, but your legs still push at the same angle. When this start to happen, when yes, even my friend here is not happy, when you tend to bend the knee too much, change the angle, this is where the tendons get pushed too hard. So what you want to do is not using the forward and down, you want to keep the angle to have a very strong leg, but you don't want to overdo and create a pressure on the anterior part of the knee that will eventually wear out your tendons and cause potentially an injury. So I started to back down, and it was hard to find again the ideal position. It's not easy to understand because you need to rely to a lot of your own body knowledge. You need to rely on checking where your leg hurts, what muscle are you using, to try to find again the best position in very, very small increments. Because also another element, when you push yourself forward, you use more of the quads and the engagement of the hamstring gets reduced a bit. So in that case, you might have more power in the beginning, but eventually the overuse of your quads will get you tired on the long run because you don't have the help of the hamstrings. So for example, at the end of a ride where maybe you have pushed too far forward, the setback, you will have your anterior part of the knee a little bit warm or maybe sore, the leg very fatigued, and maybe the hamstring you don't feel they have worked that much. So the judgment on how sore your leg is fundamental to understand if the position of the bike has got better or worse. So I went back to the original starting point, then I felt that I was pushing forward and backward, and I wanted to sit on the nose. If you do feel that, then it's time to get the saddle a little bit forward until you nail your perfect stance. I was just filming a video, no need to get angry. Better to stay indoors. This is the inherent danger of bike fit. The real difficulties of bike fittings are, it's actually changing something from a long period that you've been riding in the same position. This is unfortunately the biggest resistance to change. Yes, because your body is a great machine, is designed to adapt to whatever conditions you put into it. If you've been riding for a long period of time, any changes whatsoever, they might not get straight away recognized from your body as positive changes. For me, the COPS method, the plumb line on the knee, is not something that I would employ at all. The plumb line is a very static measurement. It really depends whether you ride upright or in an aggressive position, then the measurement gets completely different. If you see the best videos, especially from Neil Stanbury, he does have fantastic bike fitting videos in this subject, and also Bike Fit James, they tend not to employ this method altogether. In my mind, you want to go as far as you can without altering the knee angle, pushing the ligaments in the kneecap, and potentially getting some more serious injuries. It's not easy, so you want to really change even a couple of millimeters and find on the usual rides, if you do ride the same segments like I do, see the changes in speed, the changes in how your legs feel after the ride, after a strong effort, and then either move it forward or move it backwards little by little. Another great tool that you have to understand where you are sitting comfortably on a saddle is standing up on the pedals, moving forward on a sprint or maybe uphill, then coming down slowly. Try to find back your natural position on the saddle. While you are up in the air, if you close the movement coming down and naturally drop in position, more or less that is where you should also push while sitting on the saddle in the best efficient way. When I had it towards the back, when I came back on the saddle, I found out that I was sitting towards the nose and I needed a little bit of adjustment, like then sitting back to find the place where I'm most comfortable on the saddle. When it was too far forward, Coming down, I was actually with the seat bones on the very end of the saddle where he actually scoops up and it's not where you naturally sit, and I had to move forward to find again the sweet spot of where you need to sit. I mean, I love the process, and it is a little bit more painful, but eventually you will get rewarded of a bike that is really tailor-made for you. And when you go out on a ride, today was a quite strong 3 laps of Richmond Park, and the bike felt like an extension of my body. Yeah, this is the reward of your hard work in fine-tuning the bike fit on your bike, and I think it's time well worth spent. Let me know in the comments what your findings are, if you went through these changes. I would love to hear, and I'll try to reply to every comment. As usual, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao. I think I'm going to stay here for a while. Not nice.